Hey guys, this is Gabe.
This is Brennan, and welcome back to Shadow Valley.
Alrighty. So, today we've got another short episode. Although we said the last episode was going to be short and it ended up being close to an hour anyway, like all of our other episodes. So that was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. There's just a lot to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. And the story was good too. I think it definitely added a little bit more time, which was good.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the story. But today we talk about La Llorona, or better known as the Weeping Woman. And well, I guess not better known, but translated to the Weeping Woman. So yeah, that's kind of what the topic about that we're going to be doing today. Like we said, it's kind of short. If you do know about La Llorona, you probably already know that there's not much to talk about, if you will. Well, I guess there's some to talk about, but there's not much like details to cover.
Right.
You know, both Brennan and I were talking. We're like, dude, this is a cool story and all, but I feel like I was able to do an hour worth of research and I got all I needed, you know?
Yeah, it's not worth the 3 or 4+ hours
Yeah.
that each of us put into it, just because a lot of it was everywhere you look, it's like the same but different.
Mm-hmm.
Where just a few details are changed about La Llorona versus what, I don't know. You talk to one person, they're like, oh, it was because her lover left her, and somebody else just is like, she had a psychotic break because she found out that this boyfriend wasn't ever going to marry her.
Yeah.
Little minor details. It generally just involved a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened there. They had kids together, and then she had a psychotic break, and she killed her kids.
Right.
But that's kind of the gist of
Mm-hmm.
just an example of how it's so similar. There's just minute details that people are changing. There's not really a big set thing for them. Like most of the cryptids that we've talked about in the past, they kind of have a set thing.
Yeah.
To where they're kind of known as whatever, and everything's really close together. But I think it's because La Llorona has kind of her own story, her own lore behind her,
Mm-hmm.
that it's easy for that story to just get changed every once in a
Right.
while.
Yeah. Because and that's another thing that was you just hit on a good point, but that's another thing that a lot of these people mention was that because it's passed down orally from generation to generation, a lot of the details kind of get skewed, not skewed, but changed according to whatever lore they want to indulge, if
Right.
you will. Because a lot of it's there was a few of them that was it was used as a cautionary tale to make sure that their kids listen. You know, your kid's acting like a little shithead. You tell them about La Llorona and how it's going to come get you if you don't listen to your parents. Oh man, that's freaky as a little kid, you know?
Right.
And then there's other ones that, and this has been more of a recent development, not recent, more in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But sorry, it was more she's seen as what was that word? Almost like a powerful creature, like a powerful woman or whatever, you know, that
girl power.
Yeah, almost like that.
Just
not
kidding.
not that that's a bad thing or anything, but that's kind of the idea that people are depicting now, that it's oh, this is she's like a powerful spirit that preys on shitty guys, you know, and that's been a lot of the story as well, that she mainly I guess we can get into the story, or I can give you guys background to kind of hit on this, and I will in a second. I'll just do it now.
Go for it.
Okay, so it does come from Mexico, at least from generally what I saw was all from Mexico. Some people did say it came from the Spanish or out in Spain, stuff like that, but it's all mainly in Mexico, at least the stories that I read. But the legend says that there was this woman named Maria. She had grown up in poverty pretty much her whole life. And then at one point, this Spanish conquistador comes by, sees Maria, and and he's immediately like, what's the word? Kind of, not, he just falls for her.
He's just like whipped.
Yeah, whipped, exactly. He's just whipped immediately. And so they get married, they get together, and they have this wonderful few years where they're super in love. They have 2 kids. Eventually down the line, and this is kind of where a lot of the stories start to skew in different paths. Like some say that she just wasn't happy anymore, or she like thought she wasn't as beautiful as other women, stuff like that. But the one that usually kind of it gets brought up a lot is that Maria sees this conquistador with another woman that's more beautiful than she is, and out of like depression, a fit of rage, she throws her kids into the river because she sees her kids as like the conquistador's most prized possession, pretty much. So she, to get back at her husband, throws the kids in the river and drowns them, murders them. Then after this like fit of rage that she has, like this blindness,
Yeah.
She realizes what she had done. She gets really depressed and kind of like starts feeling very bad about what she's done. And so she commits suicide.
Right.
So after this happens, then she goes to the afterlife, and then she's denied entrance because she had murdered her kids. So they say, sorry, you can't come in. You have to go look for your kids. And so she is like essentially cursed to stay on the earth until she finds her kids that she murdered.
Right.
And so there's like, she's pretty much just cursed to wander forever for the rest of her life, or for the rest of existence, I guess. But yeah, that's like the main gist of the story of I guess the lore behind her.
Yeah.
Obviously, and we talked a little bit, I don't know if you want to mention some other things that you saw, but that was like generally what I read in like the 50 stories that were out there. Well, not 50. So there's like hundreds of stories.
There's so many. Something that, I don't know, going through the story, something that just kept going in my mind, like, not gonna lie, I feel like she was kind of like a pick-me girl. Where Maria was just kind of like, oh my God, pick me. I'm not like these other women. Girl. I don't care if they're... I don't care if they look better than me or they're cuter. I'm different. I'm special.
Yeah, dude.
And then I can just imagine her, like, she gets to the gates of heaven and she's like, okay, I'm ready to go in, because she thinks she's totally like the best bitch. When in all actuality, like, she's just a fucking like Karen. Yeah. She's like, excuse me, St. Peter? I want to talk to your manager. Where's God? Get God on the phone right now. Yo, bitch, God doesn't want to talk to your ugly ass. I'm not ugly. I'm different. I'm a special girl. God wants to know me. Pick me, God.
And then he's like, all right, nah, you go back to Earth.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You're not allowed find your children. Secretly, like, he knows where the kids are.
Yeah.
Not with you, bitch.
Yeah, not with you. Thanks.
Completely.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. She just seems like that kind of gal.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, think about it. She's trying to take out her own frustrations on everybody else like a complete Karen would do. Like, she's literally just there going around and, like, yelling at other people's kids because she's crotchety, apparently.
Oh, well, so, and that's the other thing, too, that we, like, I guess in kind of to hit on what Brennan just said about her yelling at other people's kids. It's like, because they use it as a cautionary tale a lot. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but usually it's used as cautionary tale quite a bit to, like, tell your kids, hey, if you're misbehaving, La Llorona is going to come get you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, who really knows what it actually was? Because if it is a spirit and she is, like, legit, then it's probably not. She's probably not trying to get other kids to behave with their parents. You know, it's also been used as like a cautionary tale for like couples to stay happy with what you have, or else like this could be your doom. Your kids die, your husband leaves you, and you turn into a spooky woman of the river.
You die and you lose your dick.
Yeah, you die and you lose. So yeah, she. Let me just give a brief description of her.
Okay.
Obviously, she's a ghost. People depict her to be a very sorrowful woman. just kind of sad, black, very long hair, like,
Yeah.
and it's always wet too. So it's kind of like, it's kind of not stringy, but just like it lays flat. It's just kind of weird looking.
Yeah.
She's in a white dress and a veil. And then you always hear her wails or her crying at night. A lot of people say that her wails, if you hear them, it's like a call for death, pretty much, or or if you hear her wails and it's just like very bad luck. And that's if you're an adult. If you hear the wails as a child and if you're unlucky to find La Llorona, then that pretty much you've signed your certificate for death, essentially. That's what everybody said. That is like, if a kid finds her, it pretty much means they're dead, which is crazy to me because it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, because it's like, if she's so upset about killing her kids and then she's now put back on Earth to like find her kids, why would she kill kids?
She's killing kids because she doesn't want anybody to have what she can't have.
I guess that's true. Like, out of like a frustration to get like revenge almost.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I see everybody else's kids. I can't have these kids. The other thing that I read too was that like she wants to, maybe she's not killing the kids, but in her sense, to us, yes, she's killing these kids, but in her sense, she's like, oh, I found my kids. Yeah. Or I found my kid. I'm going to take him.
She just has like dementia.
Right. Almost something like that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Where she loved her because she's been searching for her kids, quote unquote, for so long that she like, every time she gets another kid, she just forgets immediately because it's like her only goal. Like, I need to find my kids. I need to find my kids. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then the other interesting thing was that like the harbinger of death. I feel like there was a lot of parallels being drawn to like the Irish weeping woman.
Yeah.
Because she's also like a siren. If you hear her, it means like death is on its way, or like a big, like a really bad thing is going to happen to you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that they were drawing parallels, even though the weeping or the La Llorona isn't, we're so far from like, why can't I was going to say Irish and then I was going to say England. Why can't I remember? Ireland, yes. We're so far from like Ireland and like Scotland and stuff that you wouldn't think there were any parallels, especially with such old kind of spirits or mythologies, you know?
Yeah.
That there's parallels like that being connected, where a weeping woman is like a harbinger of death. You know? It's very weird. So yeah, that kind of honestly, that pretty much sums up La Llorona. It's very short, very not much going on really. There in the stories too. The stories were frustrating to try and pick apart, because I feel like every single story I would read it and it was like, oh yeah, this guy was walking down the street and he saw La Llorona.
Yeah.
And then he never saw her again after he left. I was like, what? Okay, that was kind of like super cool, but not that cool. Like,
yeah.
Like I want a little more meat to the story, you know? It's just frustrating. Because even when I was younger too, because I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican, and my parents have like brought her up as well. Like, oh yeah, she's going to get you if you don't listen, you know? And I always thought to myself like, oh man, I wonder what's behind that, you know? And I never went out of my way to research it until now. And now that I understand it, I'm like, man, that was so lame. As a kid, obviously, it's so scary. And I think we all have like, oh, like the boogeyman, for instance, you know?
Yeah.
Like your parents tell you, oh, the boogeyman's going to get you if you don't get in your bed or stuff like that. And it was kind of the same thing with La Llorona. It was like, oh, you're not paying attention to me. You're not eating your food. You're not doing this and that, whatever. She's going to come get you, you know? I don't know.
You literally just hurt her feelings. She's such a pick-me girl, and you just called her lame.
Yeah, dude, she's going to come kill me now.
She is. She's going to show up, and she's going to be like, literally. And she, you know, I was also thinking, you know how she's like constantly crying all the time and like she's wet because she's crying so much? Bro, who needs the government to pay me like give me water when I can just get my own like Llorona and like throw her in the pipes?
Just throw in your endless supply of water. There basically. You go. Just put her in like the ceiling or something. Dude, we're going to die.
Even better, send her to freaking Africa, dude.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
We just got to keep the saltines out of her diet so it's not so salty.
That's messed up.
But and keep her away from the kids. We can and the drunk men.
And the drunk men.
But maybe we can have the women. I don't think I heard too much about her killing women. I think
No,
she just gets jealous.
Yeah, she a lot of the time too, it's like said that she only targets like women and stuff.
Yeah.
In like the stories. And again, like I'll keep reiterating this just because that's pretty much all she really is, but she wants to just get the kids,
Yeah.
And so she usually just targets like single women and women that have kids, obviously.
Right.
Because they don't have anybody else to protect them, and so she goes and gets the kids or like not possesses, but it's said that she has like this other power of like where she can, like, if the kids hear her wailing or whatever, that it almost gives her like what's the word? Like a persuasion. It gives her persuasion to get the kids to come out, to come find her instead of her finding them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. She's not too there, and that's the frustrating thing about this is that there's not too many like scary stories in my opinion. That's where another thing came up to when we were talking prior to the episode was that the movie that was produced in like 2014 or 2016, The Curse of La Llorona, is like kind of like a joke in my opinion, just because it was so far off of what the actual like story was, what the actual lore was. She like is crazy, like this crazy spirit in the movie, but in most, if not all the occasions, it's more of like I saw her, she freaked me out, so I ran.
Yeah.
Or I saw her and then I knew immediately that my time was coming or something like that,
Right.
It wasn't ever like, oh, she started to target my children or targeted me, she touched my kid and then got this weird burn or whatever, like and then that meant like she was gonna come kill my kids, whatever the movie was. I briefly I read the synopsis of it, and I remember like watching probably the last little bit of it when I was younger, but it was just kind of dumb. I don't know, and that's the hard thing with these like movies and whatnot. And I don't know, tell me your opinion on this, but I think they're all just kind of like, they make me laugh a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I went to go see Oppenheimer the other day.
Yeah.
And they played a trailer at the beginning. And I could not stop laughing. It was like, it's like a new remake or a new like sequel to an older horror movie.
Which one was it?
I don't remember. I'm trying to, they just barely started releasing trailers and stuff, but it's like these two little girls, they go out into the forest, they go missing for a few days and then come back and they're possessed. But the only thing I could think about during that whole time is how big they made the girls' foreheads look, dude. They're big ass foreheads. They were like 6-7 inch foreheads. Their hairline was receding like an old man, bro. I just could not stop laughing, and I was like sitting there. I felt like so weird because everybody was just kind of everyone's just kind of freaked out and no one's making any noise, and I'm like sitting there like this almost. Like trying to keep my voice down because I'm like giggling and laughing. And I just felt bad. Let me try to find this the movie name because then the listeners at home can hop on and watch the trailer and just look at how giant their foreheads are.
Oh my gosh, I get what you kind of mean though, like about how a lot of those movies, like, they're kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like I keep telling people I'm super excited to watch the Meg 2. Like the first Meg wasn't really that good. But, oddly enough, like every once in a while I'll get like this craving where I'm like, yeah, I need to watch a Meg.
I need to watch it. Dude,
it's not a good movie, but like I need to watch the Meg.
What's that guy's name?
The bald one?
Jason Statham?
I think that's his name.
Yeah, that guy is he's in a lot of movies, but they're all kind of trash most of the time. Oh, look. Okay, it's The Exorcist.
Oh,
Believer.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Look at these girls' foreheads, bro.
Bro, dead ass shoot. These things are huge.
Dude, I could not get over it in the theater. I was sitting there like, holy smokes, what is this? They've got to like, Oh, look, here's an even better picture.
That's more
oh
like
my goodness.
Smeagol, bro.
Yeah, they look like Smeagol. Look at
They
that.
actually do.
Dude.
Bro, that picture looks exactly like Smeagol.
Dude, it looks like Smeagol just drew like a upside down cross on his head.
Basically.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's the
Yeah.
issue that I have with like these like new movies or kind of these stories that are like, oh my gosh, like nothing really kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
To the point of like, unless it's like kind of stories, like for instance, like The Wake last time, that kind of stuff freaks me out because that's somebody's experience that they were able to make it out of. Mind
Yeah.
you, it could be a completely made up story, blah blah blah, this and that, but like these movies, like The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It's just like if I went to go watch it, the only thing I could think about were their giant foreheads. That's it. Or like now, how they look like Smeagol. I wouldn't be able to get that out of my head. Like, oh my
Fair.
gosh, you look like Smeagol.
Did you go see the Evil Dead, the new one? The new
No.
Evil Dead movie? Bro, that one is pretty freaking baller. That's a good movie.
Scary or like actually good?
Like actually good.
Really?
Like it has some good scare parts. Like I like to watch scary movies and I don't get super like into them that much. But like this one, I was moving around and at the end of it, I made a mistake because I even told because I took a date on that movie.
Oh no.
I was like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be fun. It's a scary movie. Ha ha ha, whatever. But no, like after we're done, I had to sit there and like apologize to my date
What?
because I was like, I'm so sorry I chose that movie. I did not know it was going to be like that.
Is it rated R?
Yeah, it's rated R.
Oh, yeah,
it
I
is
bet it was
not
probably
a
insane.
first date movie. No.
Dude, bro, you went on a first date to a movie?
It was their idea. I just got to pick the
What?
movie.
Oh wow. Usually I feel like
We hung out first. That's what
oh,
we
you
do. We
did.
usually do like 2 or 3 hours before the movie, and then the
okay.
movie
See,
itself.
that's good. That's good. If you just go on like a first date and you take them out to a movie, I think that's kind of like not like that it should be frowned upon, but it's like,
Yeah.
well, how are you supposed to get to know them,
Right.
How are you supposed to know if you're gonna like you want to go on a second date? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It was a miracle I even got a second date after that. I thought it was over. I was straight up like that night I was staring at my phone and I'm like, I am so sorry. And I even told everybody, I texted everybody. I was like, yeah, I just took somebody to the Evil Dead Rise. The Evil Dead Rises, I think that's what it's called. Or Rise of the, no, I don't know. And I was just like, yeah, I just took somebody to this movie and our first date just turned into a last date. There's no way because it is like the gore is like a 10 out of 10.
Oh geez.
It looks really realistic too. But like at the same time, the plot line actually is pretty scary and the actors, they were perfect at the thing. And it doesn't even end how you think it's gonna end. Like it was a legit, like good movie. But definitely go watch it. It's on I think I almost want to buy it so I could keep it just in case it ever leaves like a streaming platform.
Mhm.
But it's on HBO right now.
Oh really?
Yeah, if you
Oh,
have
cool.
HBO, then just
I
like
have HBO. Maybe
yeah.
I'll give it a watch.
do it for sure.
Should I watch it alone?
I don't know. Well,
I
now
probably
that you
would.
mention, if I get drunk, I'll watch it alone.
Yeah, maybe you're just terrified forever.
No, if I'm drunk, I can hardly like remember.
Oh, nice.
Like the first time like I ever got like drunk, I had to do like 8 shots with this old coworker of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, she left like the lab before I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like New Year's, and she put on like Dave Chappelle in one of his shows.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to get drunk and like watch that. Bro, I couldn't pay attention. My like long-term memory did not work. I was just kind of like staring at it and I was like, yeah, okay, keep going. Yeah. And then it, like, if you asked me to repeat any of like the jokes or tell you anything that went on, no, I remember watching him and I remember talking to my coworker, but like very like not as clear as I would have thought I would.
Yeah.
But no, but also just like listening. Yeah. Also listening you talk about the movie La Llorona, like
oh yeah, that's how we got into that tangent. How it's
yeah,
shitting on that movie because it was butt.
bro, like that movie would scare me listening to the plot. Like it sounds pretty scary because you talked about how she's touching kids.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Pedophile on the loose. Pedophile on the loose.
Basically, I think that's just something that I always have on the brain. I'm just like suspicious of everybody being a pedophile.
What's that on your brain, dude?
Bro, I think no joke. I think it happened from scouts. I
No
think
shit.
yeah, I think because there's this training video that they had the scoutmasters like watch, and my ex stepdad Brad, like he had to watch it, and I remember like hearing different parts about it and about all the ways like a scoutmaster can be inappropriate with like a scout.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well,
and
they
then,
definitely. I
like the
mean,
rapey pedophile vibes from it too.
look what happened. You know, like it was for a reason they were making him watch those videos, and now
Right.
obviously it's all been like abolished, pretty
Right.
much. So
And it was really
it's
interesting.
been abolished, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's like no longer a thing.
I mean, like scouts exist, but like the LDS Church has nothing to do with them.
Right.
But no, there was one thing, and I think this is why I remember this one scoutmaster so much, is because in the video it said one of the ways you can identify kind of like a predator is like when they touch the back of like somebody's neck, or they grab like a kid by the back of the neck.
What the
Like
heck?
that's a sign of them kind of like being a
asserting
creep.
dominance. Almost.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and it's inappropriate. Like it could be a sign of something a little bit more like, I don't want to say sinister, but like sexual.
Yeah.
And I got super nervous one time because we were in the grocery store one time shopping with one of these scoutmasters.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was acting like a spaz, but then one of these scoutmasters grabbed me on the back of the neck just like that. And it sent like a chill up my spine. Like I was absolutely terrified because I remember, and I swear it was maybe like 2 or 3 months before that I
Oh,
heard this
wow.
video that like it happened, and then I was like, ugh, SVU. That's literally
Dang.
how it was. And so I think just because of that training and like now suspecting every single adult about being a pedophile,
Yeah.
that now like anything that sounds like even the least bit like pedophile to me, I immediately like pay attention to
Yeah.
it.
It's just red lights flashing. Like what?
Basically,
Yeah.
La Llorona alone with a child and touched them and gave them a little burn. Like
like oh, what's going on here?
that's chlamydia.
Oh my
Just
God.
kidding.
Oh my goodness.
But no, like for
But yeah.
real.
Yeah,
Sounds
no,
like
I
a
hear
scary
you.
movie.
I don't know, man. I don't like I said, I remember watching the last few minutes of the movie. I remember it because I was at my barber's place. I was
Yeah.
getting a haircut, and that was the movie they were playing. But eventually what ends up happening is that they like, and I might butcher this because I was barely paying attention, but they like go out and drown her in the pool or something like that
Yeah.
at the end of it. And I just thought, it was like, this is so dumb. And like I said, I did do like a brief read over the synopsis, and a lot of the details like they tried to do, like for instance, like that grabbing the kids and being able to persuade them to come to her, you know?
Yeah.
That was like their interpretation of how she was so close with her kids before, and they would always listen to her. And
Is
it's
that
like,
how she
oh,
like
man,
got
that's-
him in the river? She was
Yeah.
like, I love you. Like, but you know,
Well,
in
but
my
the thing
opinion,
is
her kids
that
are retards. I mean, they're stupid as fuck because like if you're gonna, because there's two of them, and it's not like she drowned them at the same time. She drowned one first, and then the second. Like, if you're the second child and your mom just like murdered your brother or sister, like, how fucking stupid do you have to be to then like listen to her be like, "Hey, you want to come here take a swim with mommy?"
No, but that's I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but maybe I should have gone a little deeper in this. But it is said that she was walking near a river,
Yeah.
and then she saw her husband in like a carriage with a beautiful woman,
Yeah.
and so she grabbed her kids and threw them into the river and pushed both their heads down at the same time. So they had like no way to get away from it because they're two kids. They're two
Yeah.
little kids, you know. And but that's what I'm saying is that like prior to this, apparently the kids would listen to her so well because they loved their mom so much.
Yeah.
And so the movie's interpretation of that was, oh, she can touch you, mark you, and then persuade you now to listen to
Yeah.
her, which I thought was just hella dumb. I was like, man, what the heck is this? Like, I don't know.
Baptism by mommy.
By mommy. Baptize me, mommy. Yeah.
Basically.
But yeah, I don't know. And again, that just kind of, it's the same issue that a lot of these like horror films have, in my opinion, because a lot of the horror films that come out nowadays, I feel like aren't really, they're just there to like, it's always some demonic kid or some possessed spirit. It's nothing
Yeah.
like, I want to see a movie about like, for instance, like I think the very first, not remake, but the very like first sequel of Halloween back in
Yeah.
like 2020 or 2018 or whatever when it came out. That one was great. It wasn't like scary, but I definitely was like on the edge of my seat, you know.
Yeah.
And the frustrating thing is that the next movies after that, 2 and 3, whatever they've done, they've kind of made Michael to be out like this unstoppable, like immovable creature. Like in the second movie, they like shoot him a bunch of times, stab
Yeah.
him a million times. Like, isn't this guy just a human? You know, like since when did he become this like creature? You know
Yeah.
that is impervious to damage. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But the first one I loved because it was I felt like it was very well done. It kind of put Michael into this light of, yeah, it's a terrifying like serial killer.
Right.
And I want more horror movies like that, you know? Horror movies that instead of only ever seeing some possessed thing or some demonic
Yeah.
thing, I want it to be like, well, shoot. What if and you know what I really liked was what you said last episode that you brought up. It was like, dude, what if they made a movie about a wig in New York?
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of hides in the subway. I thought that was like, oh, that would be a really good movie. If somebody was able to produce something like that and make it like look good, make it efficient, that would be sweet, dude. Because then it's like, oh, you start off the plot with like homeless people going missing or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Something like that, something freaky, and then investigators, like that would be something scary.
Get the
you know?
jaded investigator in there, the
Yeah.
detective who's
Yeah.
then like looking for it everywhere.
Exactly, like
Then
something like that, you know.
yeah.
And that's what I find frustrating now is that these movies are mainly just to try and like prey on that like mind of somebody that really like has a belief in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not that I don't. I think there are things out there that are freaky like that, but I just don't really fall into that category of being scared by those movies. Maybe
Right.
I just haven't found the right one, but I really do. I think I would be scared if they made something like the Wig movie. That would be freaky, dude. Like that's just spooky, or based off of like a real life event. You know, I don't know what it could be, but
9/11.
yeah, something I don't
That'd
know.
be pretty scary. Like in the tower, like somebody depicted in the tower.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying.
And
you
then
know?
like it's all on fire,
Mhm.
and then them just like panicking, and you get to see that panic, and
Yeah.
just it would be. I mean, never mind. I take that back. That would not be a great movie.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, and that's the thing. Where do you draw the line of like, is this okay for me to make something like this? Because 9/11 was just such a hard time for a lot of people,
Right.
and it caused a lot of heartache and headache, and I think people would be frustrated. But then again, they like made the movie about the Boston
Right. I just
bomber.
don't know if there's enough content in like that 9/11 like accident for somebody to really like drag it out. I feel like it would almost lose a lot of like the actual evidence if it not evidence, a lot of the actual like events. Like it wouldn't seem
Mhm.
as real if they made a movie just because Hollywood's gonna add stuff.
Yeah.
And there were people inside that building and it was burning and like
Mhm.
but I don't think there would be enough like runtime, I
Mhm.
guess, unless they did an entire like office drama beforehand.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
I
what I
hear
was
you.
thinking.
They
But
could do like a depiction of somebody in the plane and then somebody in the building.
I think they did do one of those. I think I saw
Oh, really?
yeah, I think I saw a 9/11 movie where they ended up like landing the plane or like crashing in a
Yeah.
field because they took over from the terrorists.
Right.
I don't know what the movie's called. It was a pretty good movie from what I remember, but like, yeah, they didn't hit the tower, luckily.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been I feel like they didn't do an ending like that because think how like mad people would be at that ending. Just
Mhm.
like, because at least they felt like they had a victory at the end when the people took over.
Right.
And even though like none of them knew how to fly the plane and they ended up like crashing it and I think they all died. They kind of won because they got rid of the terrorists.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Versus
And
like
there's a win there, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end where you have all these people freaking out on the plane and then the terrorists like achieve their goal. I feel like there's no actual like victory, and so I feel like people wouldn't like that either
Right.
because that's something that people don't like. They don't like realism. I found out like
Well, and that's kind of, we hit on that a little bit ago with that movie, Sound of Freedom,
Yeah.
because that is such a real thing and such a prevalent, or not a prevalent, like a real issue. I think people don't want to acknowledge it because it just shows how kind of messed up the world is, really,
Yeah.
in reality. Like, it is very sad, but people don't want to acknowledge it because then there goes their kind of protecting. You know,
Right.
there goes their shield of like, I want to stay in the dark about these things. I don't want to hear it. If I never hear it, like it's the same saying as like
Right.
ignorance is bliss, right? As soon as that barrier breaks of the ignorance, then there goes all your safety net. You know, you now know that the world isn't all what it's cracked up to be. It's kind of shitty, you know. And to hit on that, what you said, if they were to make a movie with like actual real life events like 9/11, I think people
Yeah.
would be very hesitant to want to go watch it because it's pretty upsetting. Um,
I think it's interesting overall, but like there's a lot of different movies and there's a way like Hollywood could take all of this stuff and go like more realistically, but
right.
they I don't know. They choose not to because it doesn't sell well.
Exactly.
Like if you were to go to a movie and it goes like realistically and it's about like this tragic event where, you know, the quote unquote good side of humanity loses,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to really like it. And it's why I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with the Crucible, but that doesn't end happy. Like,
Right.
and that's why that whole thing was such a controversial thing when it came out. Not only is it like something that was trying to speak on McCarthyism of that time,
Mm-hmm.
but it's this deeper thing to where people were upset because you know the protagonist of that, John Proctor, tried all he could to like fix everything and to make everything right,
Right.
and he failed.
Right.
He failed at the end, and it cost him everything.
Uh-huh.
And so people didn't like that. People
Mhm.
don't like realistic endings because, you know, in all honesty, that's how it is. We talk about the American dream, which we all want and we all want to shoot for. We all want that success.
Mm.
But when it comes down to it, not everybody's going to be successful. You
Right.
could work your entire life for something and then in the end, just not achieve it at all.
Right.
That's real. That's realistic.
Yeah. And that's the shitty
Versus-
thing about life, you know?
Yeah. And you know who really needs to hear that?
Who?
La Llorona. She's such a pick me that she just doesn't get it.
Still on that grind.
Yeah. She just needs to understand, yeah, life isn't fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, this guy got a boner for another girl and left her. But she's got to move on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah.
why
it sucks.
move on when you just drown your kids?
Yeah, you know what? Shoot, these poor innocent babies that I'm supposed to love and are obedient to me. Psh,
Yeah, who
why
cares?
not
I'm
dunk
gonna
their
murder
head
them.
in water until
Yeah.
they stop moving? You know,
Who cares? No big deal.
an obedient
Hey.
child is a quiet child.
Dude, that's cheaper anyway.
Oh, yeah.
No kids to feed. No
Shoot.
beds to buy.
And she just got dinner for at least
Yeah.
the next week.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Just to remind everybody, cannibalism isn't technically illegal at all.
Just don't kill your kids for it.
Yeah. Oh, and then sorry to hit on something that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that we've been mentioning, but and like I said, I just went to watch Oppenheimer a week ago.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was kind of the same. They were walking a very fine line in that movie,
Yeah.
where they were trying to show the realism, because obviously, in I think regardless of what your views are on the atom bomb, in my opinion, well, I guess let me say this: it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
It definitely was bad. We killed a lot of people. The decision to drop a bomb was
Yeah.
not good. Besides that, if you believe, oh, it was great that we were able to do it, or that we were able to do something great or something so extraordinary, if you will,
Yeah.
to make a bomb in just a few years, like it's up to your own opinion. But they walked a very fine line within that movie where they showed how much they didn't really they tried to depict the damage that it caused within a few scenes, but I think the hard thing with that was that they didn't want to, like you said, because it's Hollywood, they don't want to show all the bad, because if they show all the bad, then people aren't going to like the movie.
Right.
They're not going to want to go watch it because they're like, oh, this is just sad. It's kind of like, it's almost like the same idea that everybody has with the Barbie movie, right? The people that they're like, oh, this is like super anti-men. It's like everybody hates men now, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, that's not really what they're trying to do. Obviously, I mean, and sorry if this is a spoilers ahead. Maybe stop listening now if you haven't seen Barbie.
Just kidding.
But they do depict Ken in the movie to be like the lesser in Barbie Land or whatever.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the movie, they're like, okay, we need to start changing our ways and let Ken make his own decisions, and vice versa. In the real world, they're like, oh, women should be stronger. At the end of the day, it wasn't about like, oh, I want to be super anti-man, whatever. But at the same time, there's so many people that are ragging on it and hating it because, yes, there are some themes of anti-men, but that wasn't the whole gist of the movie.
Right.
And so the people that are ragging on it are hating on it and writing these horrible reviews, blah, blah, blah. And I think the same thing is probably going to happen with Oppenheimer, saying like, oh, well, this movie just shits on Americans.
Right.
Because, yes, they put America in kind of a bad light at times, but it's not like throughout the whole theme of the movie.
Right.
But I think, like you said, the Hollywood producers understand this and have to kind of maneuver and walk this fine line of what can we say, what can we do, where people won't get pissed at us because of something, you know?
Right.
But yeah, dude, it was a heavy movie. If you guys haven't had a chance to go watch it, I would definitely give it a watch. It was pretty heavy. It shows a lot of cool things, the process of the big boy. But other than that, it was very interesting to see the kind of fallout and the behind the scenes of everything and how Robert Oppenheimer kind of took it very hard after they built it.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the scientists in that facilities also took it very, very hard.
Right.
Some people took it great, you know, but it's up to your own decision. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Barbie's pretty funny too, if you want to go watch that. But
you know why there's no pregnant Barbie, right?
Why?
Because Ken came in his own box.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, dude! There is in the movie.
There's a pregnant Barbie.
yeah. Again, spoilers if you haven't watched it, but it's pretty funny. They have this like pregnant Barbie, and then one of like the like owners of Martell or whatever the company name is like walks in, and then he like sees her and he gets spooked. He's like, ah! Like freaks out. He's like, oh, I forgot that we made you.
Oh my god,
it's so funny.
Wait. The vice president or the president of Mattel Toys?
Mattel, yeah, whatever it was. Mattel, yeah.
Yo, my ex like mission president, he was the vice president of Mattel Toys at some point.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Huh. He was insane, dude.
Dang, that's wild. It was obviously it's not actually them. It's just like it's Will Ferrell.
Oh, okay.
As like the actor, but anyway. We have gone very, very far off topic.
You're right.
But yes, that was La Llorona. If you want to do more research on it, I'll spare you the time. There is none. But there are a lot of...
she's a basic bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. There are a lot of interesting depictions of her, which I did. That was like probably the most interesting time that I had, was just kind of looking at all the illustrations that people had. Some of the stories can be interesting, but I don't think I read a single one that ended in like, oh, my kids are gone now or something like that. Mind you, which is good. Obviously, that's good. But it was mostly like I saw, like I stated before, but I saw the La Llorona. It scared me. I freaked out. I heard her crying, blah, 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 this and that. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist. Unless you have something else to add, Brennan.
Yeah, not really. I mean, she just, what can I say? Like she's just the biggest pick me. That's all she wants. She cries a lot, and you know, she likes to steal kids.
Yeah. You know, that kind of reminds me of
what? Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney. Oh my goodness.
Go back to touching kids. I'm just kidding.
Allegedly, dude, come on. It's alleged.
Allegedly.
Allegedly reminds us of Dick Cheney. Come on now.
Allegedly. Shoot. Yeah, and allegedly he touched kids. Just kidding. Like, I don't think there's a serious, like, actually, you know what? He did touch kids because he helped bomb kids in Iraq. He was there in the Iraq war. That was him. He's the one who started the Iraq War. He was George Bush's vice president when 9/11 happened. This guy's the reason why we had such a long war in Iraq trying to fight terrorism. Like there's terrorists there, but like this guy, like he used it as an excuse because you know what he really wanted? He's a fucking pig. He loves money.
Yeah.
And he saw there was oil in Iraq and Iran and in all those Middle Eastern countries. And so he just got the biggest like oil hard on there was and found the perfect excuse for going in there and throwing our poor boys on the ground. He threw our boys on the ground so he could touch other boys with our bullets.
Dang, dude. Just spitting facts though.
It's for real though. Like this guy, he got a hard on for oil and he wanted money. And you know what? That makes him more like the Penguin. Wasn't the Penguin like a business guy?
Yeah. He's like a gangster. And so, all he wants is money.
Freaking
He really is the Penguin, huh?
Dick Cheney. That's all he is. He's a greedy, greedy bastard. And, you know, I can't believe this man and how he raised his daughter, Liz Cheney. Like, there's a reason why she got absolutely demolished the last time, like, she tried to run for office again. And it's because, you know, she was taught wrong by this one guy. She made a mistake. You know what? I take it back. She wasn't taught right because Dick Cheney would have played the politics. He would have made sure he stayed in and he could.
He would have made sure that she was taught real well so he could still control.
Yeah, he failed teaching her. Basically. And you know, they'll go back and they'll be like, oh, I tried to teach her morals and values. That's what she was doing. No, she just made a mistake. She read the room wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Or, you know, she just let her feelings take over.
Like La Llorona.
Basically. So anyway, that about does it for me. I mean, what can I say? La Llorona, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, they just got so much in common. I think they should start a family. Oh, wait, La Llorona would kill him. Anyways, that's it from us, really. If anybody has any feedback or really just wants to send any fan art, send it to...
or just questions in general, honestly.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear anything that you guys have to say. I think feedback is awesome as well.
You can ask about my 2 divorces. Just kidding.
Yeah. You can also ask about like the 2 kids I had back in the 19th century that I like drowned, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. And how I'm a single mom, left with 2 kids after my boyfriend left me. Oh my God, I love those kids so much. I think we should go to the swimming pool. Anyways, please send whatever to shadow.valleypod@thedogenetwork.com. Again, shadow.valleypod@thedogenetwork.com. And again, this is Brennan.
And this is Gabe. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. See you guys later.